Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. All right, so in this message, we are going deeper into this third-party situation that I've been channeling on the channel for quite some time. And we're digging into the karmic lessons, the spiritual lessons that are being played out in the unconscious. But when we start to make them conscious, they're being unpacked via this particular situation. And the way that this started to come through is this kind of who is sleeping with who, this passion energy. Wherever it's moving, it's kind of that passion is almost this like hot potato of low self-esteem is what I'm getting, because this is a third party situation. And so it becomes like an attention economy. Who's getting whose attention? And some people are wielding this for their own power game of, aren't I inducing fear in you because I'm paying my attention, my special attention over here to somebody else? Doesn't that make you have low self-esteem? And doesn't that make me have high self-esteem because I can affect you in this way? And whoever is on the receiving end of that attention, that passion, gets the high of, I must be worthy. I must be the best. I must be something good because this person is paying attention to me. And so it's a flattery. There starts to be this kind of flattery of, I'm special to you. But once you pull back and realize, wait a second, this is a third party situation. So to whomever's going back and forth here, whether this is a man or a woman, or maybe this is going on both sides, I don't know. Well, nobody's special to them, or at least you can't tell who's special to them because their actions are not in alignment with their feelings of who is special to them. If anybody is, it's probably just they're special to themselves. And so once you kind of take a step back and stop being flattered by someone's schmegdual energy or schmegdual attention, when in fact it's not special, they're wielding it as a tool. And if they're wielding it as a tool of power and attention, then it doesn't mean what you think it means in your head, that your head is connecting to this like dopamine response of, oh my gosh, I must be worthy. And that is some type of temporary relief from the pain that whoever is feeling. And it feels like everybody in this situation feels of like the pain of feeling unlovable or unworthy. And it's like, oh, well, true love's kiss can wake me from this slumber and can anoint me in my queenly or kingly garb, and the sun will shine upon me in my kingdom, and I can ascend to my throne. And that's the fantasy, because the answer is not outside of you. If the answer is outside of you, this via this person and their attention and their love and their passion, and whether their lips are on your lips or whether they're over there on somebody else's lips, right? If the focus is there, it's so precarious. It's so precarious. And so I feel like this entire situation, it does have to do, I'm seeing that temperance energy of that internal justice of something here balancing out. And you kind of saying, wait a second, we're all a bunch of broken, hurt people. And it's hard to let go of this cycle because it is a cycle of false nurturance. The person who is hurting me is the same person that offers some kind of temporary relief. And that has built an addiction in me. And so this isn't love. It's actually addiction. This isn't salvation. It is actually harm. And when you're trying, not only that, it makes karmic enemies here, because when you're trying to fight for your own salvation, that's what you're telling yourself, your own recognition of being the special one, the chosen one by this arbitrary person. And we'll talk about how this person becomes that proxy, in just a second. You have to wrestle this person away from somebody else or from multiple other things, the world that is trying to pull on this person's attention. And it just keeps you in this, I'm seeing the 6 of Pentacles in my mind where you've got the 2 people that are in rags on their knees. It keeps you in this bedraggled, limited state, where just any little breadcrumb of attention it doesn't just feel like the breadcrumb that it is. It feels like the whole loaf. It feels like the whole bakery behind you. You smell that and it feels, again, the sun just kind of shines on your head and you feel warm, and it feels like it erases all of the pain. And that's not real. It's not what's going on. And so I feel like Spirit is wanting you to illuminate this and to walk away from this entirely. Now, I think this may have something to do with, we've got workplace affair here and ashamed. So unpacking some kind of shame feelings around maybe a workplace affair, or it involves somebody's workplace here. And what I'm seeing here is I've got the Tower card from the Tarot of Schmegjul Magic. And in that card, it's two people doing the thing, but the guy is like in a standing position and he looks not there. He looks not present. He looks kind of faded and muted in his coloring, even though he's kind of got that red coloring of like the passion, and he's not like smiling. His eyes don't look alive. It feels like some kind of rote energy, and that's what's actually going on. But behind him, there's a man who is like full in color, looks actually like a human being with like a heart, what looks like a heart tattoo, like over his heart. And he's coming in with like an axe and he's trying to get rid of like that tower person. And the way that this is coming across is like, those are two aspects of the same, I just heard the same person of, why are you doing this? Like, you love her over there. And that's what I'm saying. It's not that there's not actual love. And I want to be careful about this because I'm not trying to fuel the addiction, And I think regardless of if you're the love or not, I think you have to got to walk away from this cycle. This game of hot potato where everybody here is throwing the hot potato of low self-esteem and low self-worth that gets fixed with this hot potato of passion, attention, energy, like back and forth. Stop doing that, because what feels like the answer, right? When you catch that hot potato and it feels like that warm passion, like, yes, it's me. I have the hot potato. I'm chosen. And finally you recognize that like I'm the one. But then when it goes to somebody else, that hot potato mechanism, it's the same. You got to walk away from the game. It seems like it's the salvation, but the real trick is to realize that it seems like it's a salvation, but it's the same thing that hurts you, because you're putting all of your, hopes and dreams, you're putting all of your focus, it's all on this hot potato. And not to mix my games here, but it's coming through a little bit like whack-a-mole, because it's like, oh, well, I whacked the mole, but then another one pops up and then you got to whack that. And then another one pops up and it keeps you stuck in this. It's really attention getting, where you're like, okay, I got to whack this mole. I got to whack this mole. When that's on like the two-dimensional level, it's kind of like, a teeter-totter. You push one side up and the other side goes down, and you push the other side down and the other side goes up, and that's that like two version back and forth. But once you it's like you've got to transcend that. You got to pop up to the next level where you can see, well, the solution must be something outside of that. And I think that's the way that you're relating to this for this third party situation. You have to acknowledge the fact that it is a third party situation, and you have to acknowledge the energetic attention that flows through the entire thing. I feel like this is part of the lesson. It's part of what it's teaching you, because you're trying to understand this third party situation via a two-person, like understanding a dynamic between you and another person. But you can't understand that person fully until you understand that third party, because that's the other side of them. There's something that they get over there with that third party. And it could be that it is attention. It could be like strange, this is a person who has to be dramatic, erratic, and if not, it's kind of, maybe this is the person that is like an adventure junkie, right? But their version of adventure is just dopamine hits, and they don't actually do anything adventurous. They do deceitful things, and they chase after strange, and they drink certain beverages to give them a dopamine high, all from the comfort of their couch, kind of a thing. Like, so no, are you adventurous? No. You're like some type of adrenaline dopamine high junkie. And that's different than somebody who's genuinely adventurous, who has had a life full of experiences that are adventurous, but they don't hurt anybody, and they're actually building character, and they're building a worldview, and they build their relationships. Those are different things. I think that's another part of this is people use certain words, and it's part of the cloaking. It's part of the Maya, and it's part of the illusion, and it builds this fantasy, or it builds this romance. And so, you're never going to be able to see all of that if you're just focused on your side of it. It's like broadening out to see the entire situation, and not just seeing it from this hyper high intensity connection that you have with this person, because it may well be that there is a divine couple here. It may well be that, but I don't think that you'll ever know. Like, even if you are part of that divine pairing, I don't think that you'll ever know unless you can walk away from the game, unless you walk away from this dynamic, because there's addictions that are active here, and it's like everybody's got to get clean, and this divine couple can meet later on down the road when everybody's got themselves figured out and tempered out. But I think that there's too much risk here of still trying to fight for the hot potato if someone doesn't do the healing and tries to come to you and say, I realize that you're my divine counterpart. Because going back to that tower energy, that's what it looks like to me, of the guy who's like the real human, who is trying to like end, if you will, that tower guy that's like a figment. It's just a person. And it feels like it's a part of himself. He's like, what are you doing over here with this person? You're ruining our divine connection. You're hurting the woman that I love. Why are you doing this? Like, why are you causing this tower energy? Why do you engage in this? And I think part of it is maybe like a codependency, which is another addictive energy that masquerades as love. And so it's like this is playing out in the 3D, because maybe between a divine pairing here, and it doesn't have to be that the divine pairing is here. It may well not be. But it just feels like there's an actual manifestation of the psyche, of the mind, in the people that are playing out here in this situation. Yeah, because I'm hearing a Taylor Swift song. It's like a figment of my worst intentions. She said, James, get in, let's drive. Those days turned into nights. Slept next to her, but I dreamt of you all summer long, right? The figment of my worst intentions. It actually is made manifest. And this is like kind of the earth school, right? Where we play things out in the 3D. But life is so mental. Schmegs is so mental. It's so psychological. The kinks that people have, it goes to some type of deep psychological need. And so kinks can be great, but you have to, well, is this just a am I just scratching a psychological itch? Maybe I could get to the root of this and actually integrate something here into my life, and maybe what I think are my preferences, maybe they actually change. Maybe I don't need to like flog somebody. Maybe you do. I don't know. But it's like, well, what is that kind of playing out? Because all of that, everything is just so deeply psychological, and you play it out in life, but it's this way of actually, I don't know, kind of like acupuncture, the way that like, I don't know, where you touch different parts of the body, but it connects back to the mind, but you're doing that via people, and yeah. And so just as much as like your mind can trick you, or it's something is hidden about aspects of your own psychology, these people are tricking you. And so, like I said, I think that there's some karmic lessons here. And Spirit's trying to illuminate that. And it has to do with some type of like mirroring energy. And this energy might have to do with like shame. That I feel like is shared with everybody in this situation. Some kind of like embarrassment, because it's embarrassing maybe when somebody is like, when you just love somebody so much and you've got your heart on their sleeve and they're sleeping with somebody else, or they're like with somebody else, that can be like even like embarrassing. But that seems like, again, maybe a veneer of like the deeper shame of like, well, I guess I'm not good enough, because even if they do love you and you can kind of sense, well, they do love me, I'm still not enough. So that's embarrassing. And a like public humiliation way, especially if this is like messy and there's a third party involved, then everybody's involved, right? But also whoever's done this, I think, has to process feelings of shame. It is that kind of that masculine energy that it feels like almost wrestling their consciousness back from a demon, that has like, it's like trying to exorcise that out of them, that kind of, it feels to them like, and I'm not letting anybody off the hook here, but it feels to them like it's this part, and I think it's a part of them, right? But it takes over like their body because it's so needy, and it's so needy of attention and admiration, or it's so needy of causing drama so that they can be at the center of it, because maybe part of their wound is that they never felt like they had healthy attention as a child. They never felt like they were worthy of being paid attention to. So they've learned that the easiest way to do that, it's much harder to gain attention doing something productive, because that requires skill and dedication. There's probably long stretches of time where nobody pays attention to you while you're perfecting your craft, right? Or you're perfecting your knowledge, but one of the easiest, cheapest, fastest, devil-oriented ways you can get attention is by causing drama. You can just shit in the pool and everybody will jump out, You can just throw a hot potato into the situation. And that's what this person's kind of learned. And they do this in their love. And I feel like they do this in their love dynamics. And I feel like it's unconscious. They don't know why they do this almost. Like it's below their conscious recognition, because it's their shadow that is rising up from the depths and taking control as seemingly of their body and of the situation. And it's like a very self-sabotaging thing. And I think it ultimately comes down to like feeling unlovable and unworthy of like healthy attention. And it's gotta like, but they've got to figure out how to get that healthy attention, which is going to take a lot of trial and error. It's going to maybe take a lot of embarrassment. And this is maybe chipping away at the karmas here, like embarrassment, humiliation, shame of not being enough. And they think that, okay, well, if I go with my heart on my sleeve, because there's a sweetness, there's an innocence, and then everybody laughs at me. You don't have that armor around you. of like, I'm just a playboy player, you know, and I don't have feelings. And that's why I'm out here. I do this bitch and that one over there because I have no feelings. And so when you make fun of me, you can't make fun of me because there's something like tied to feelings, you know, and like the vulnerability of feelings of like, oh, well, I can see your feelings. Oh, you like them, don't you? And it's like, why do we make fun of people for that? Like, you like a person, like that's the worst thing that you could do, but it's because they found a button. Bullies will do that, you know, they found a button. And a lot of times the people who are finding your button, they don't want their button found. And so if they can draw attention to your button, and it's the same pattern playing out of causing some type of drama or attention, and it gets like kind of weaponized. And so it's undoing all of that in order to learn how to get like healthy attention that feels good and that doesn't wound people that you're meant to love and protect and be caretakers of, instead of this weird codependent thing, because codependency is weirdly enmeshed with caretaking. But I think it was Richard Grannon. I love his channel, but I think it was one of his videos where he was, and I think he was relaying Sam Vaknin, who's another like narcissist person, like researcher. And they were talking about codependency, and he called it like the dual mothership thing. And it was this like agreement of, okay, well, the narcissist comes in and they're like, well, I'll mother you in a certain capacity. And usually it's like very limited, you know, because I become your armor, right? Like if I kiss you with true love's kiss, then that's the kind of protection or whatever, you know, something here like that. But then it might hurt you, like whatever they're doing, but then you mother them. And that's like kind of the codependency thing. But through all the narcissist tricks and stuff, you start to get these like holes in your auric that they kind of feed off of until there's just like nothing left. And it's because that dynamic is not a dynamic of two adults. And I describe this in the readings as like Libran. That's the way it comes through for me. Because the Libra is two equals, right? And they're treating each other like equals. And you can have that equal back and forth. No. This kind of relationship is parent-child. And so he says, ironically, the way to kind of overcome it is you have to, it feels like a mother leaving a child, regardless of your gender and regardless of, like, you could be the man in this situation, right? And the narcissist is a woman, or vice versa, or whatever. And it feels like, because the narcissist, they just want to, it's gimme kind of an energy. They feel entitled to your energy until they basically like destroy you. But it's this take kind of thing. But they have a good way of framing it as though you owe them something, or that's part of your dynamic. And the only way that they can do that, where you're this ever giving force, is by making you feel responsible to them the same way that a mother would feel to the child. And so you have this weird psychological block, and there could be parental issues here, but there's this like weird psychological block of walking away from this situation feels like a betrayal. It feels like walking away to this third party situation because it's built on weakness. It feels like a mother walking away from a child, but you're not. That's not the natural dynamic between the two of you. And it does this person no good to have somebody step in as a mother figure that's not the mother figure. And when they're supposed to be full grown, right? Like that's what's keeping somebody sick here. And that's what I think started this to begin with, because I don't want to get too far into this, but I was seeing this like Queen of Cups person. And I think for a lot of you, maybe that's you. And so you don't really realize it, but I think you're seen as somebody good to be in relationship with, because you're very loving, or you're very nurturing. You have like a high quality love to give. And so I think that was kind of what was going on, but you didn't realize that the person that you were in love with, because maybe you thought that there was a self-esteem issue here, but you were very encouraging, you know, and you didn't think of yourself as being better than them. And so you provided that kind of nurturance, and that's how it kind of starts, right? And then that person, you maybe like in some way nursed them back to health, and they kind of got on their feet. And then there's another person here that has also low self-esteem. And that person, I think you also maybe provided some type of nurturance energy, because on a spiritual level or a psychological level here, it's like these two that had an affair, they both look at you like you're supposed to be the mom. Like you're supposed to take care of them, and that they're just two naughty kids acting out. And so you should just forgive them, because whoever this person is that like had an affair with like your person, they think very highly of you. You're thought very highly of by like both of these people. But what they tell themselves is lies. Everybody has to tell themselves lies to keep this going, right? So you have such a pure love energy, and like you're giving to whoever you were with, and that felt right to you. And you thought, oh, well, they must just be down for now. You know, this must be a temporary thing, because we meet people, you know, like as adults, we don't know their history or anything. So you kind of come in at some kind of, at a low point in the cycle. Maybe whoever they cheated on you with is maybe a mother of a child, somebody that they like went back to, right? Because they deplete each other, right? And so you come into the situation and you're giving, and you are taught to, always be ever forgiving and to understand and have a lot of compassion and not just call it like you see it, call balls and call strikes of this is unacceptable. And this is not the way that you behave, and you need to behave a certain way here. And again, that sounds like a mom, but, and maybe there is some, I don't know, like being a stronger parent, a parent who says no and a parent who has like boundaries and, but then there's this other person that, again, whether they knew them from their past and they went back around, maybe there's some kind of weird, it's weird familial stuff. It's like attachment things, or this could be somebody around you. They also think of you very highly, because I'm seeing this person seeing you like very sparkly, and I'm seeing them watch this masculine come in and kiss you, and they misunderstand. They think, oh, that must be the source. And so when this masculine sneaks around behind your back and kisses them, they feel chosen. They feel anointed. And there is something about like over you. And it's not that they think that you're a bad person or anything or lacking in any way. They just think that, oh, well, it's not passionate between the two of you. It's not real love. Like it's nurturance kind of love, but it's, I deserve that kind of nurturance from you too. And that's what he's going over there for. But with us, it's the passion and it's the aliveness. That's the lie that they tell themselves. And through secrets and through lying by omission and maybe even lying overtly, this masculine who's going back and forth, or it could be a feminine, take this however resonates, they benefit from that lie. So they keep that going when actually they're pulling from both situations. I actually do think that they have a real love with you. I think that they just prop up their ego because they feel less than in comparison to your energy. And I think it's the same that's true for the karmic that they're fucking around with behind the scenes. She also feels less than in regards of you, but they want to be seen on the same level. And because you're so accessible, meaning you're not whatever they accuse you of, because some of these people might even say like, oh, you think you're better than other people, but it's because you shine. You're like kind of sparkly and you've achieved something for yourself, but you are not, you don't put yourself above people because you have relationships with these people, right? And you're so accessible. And so they kind of view you as a stepping stone. They want to use your energy to pull themselves up because they think if you have it and you're right there, it's like they think that it's common, whatever you have inside of you. And they're trying to get it externally. And that's the thing that's the dragon that needs to be slayed here, because she's trying to take it from you. So if she can, and there's resentment here because I think maybe these two have like tried it before and it's just depleting. And it's like you're the refuel station, and you won't be forever if you still allow this person to come in and refuel. You have to like draw some kind of boundary, and this is like a karmic lesson. And again, it could be that for everybody's, like if everybody grew into their higher selves immediately, magically overnight, it could be that there's a divine pairing here. It could be that, but nobody's their higher self here. And you have to leave this situation in order to kind of, it's like a filtration system, that is, leaving this situation. Because if somebody is, like if you progress, if you leave this situation behind and you progress and you focus on yourself, then if somebody is actually like your divine soulmate, well, it's the 3-prong system that's propping this up. So that'll just fall apart. And then the truth of that is going to be in a tower energy. And they'll be left with the memories, and they'll be left with the shame, and they'll actually have to process this, because I think you wanted them to do it when you were around and like you guys could maybe salvage something here, but it's just not going to work out that way because this other person, and everybody's coming from a place of weakness and shame and not integrating their shadow. And so there's this like psycho crazy, obsessed ex energy. And that person I think is being exposed, or there could just be this obsession energy that's like kind of just going around here with the hot potato. But moving away, when everybody starts to move towards their health and their healing and their higher perspective, then the soulmates, this is the way I use soulmates and karmics, is if you're soulmate with somebody, as you start to learn your karmic lessons, you grow closer and closer with that person. You're actually walking in the same direction. Where there's karmics here, and you might all be karmics to each other, or there's definitely some kind of karmic situation here. As people learn their lessons, they move farther and further away because they actually have to say, there's a lot of shame attached to this. And also we don't go together, this is like a devil energy. This is impulsive. We prop each other up, and it can't ever be anything other than cyclical because there's no solution here. There's no answer. How many times do I need to go around in this cycle before I can see it for what it is, And if you actually love somebody in that scenario, you let them go, right? Love is not selfless, love is selfless. Love is not selfish. And so the loving thing to do is actually to say, I'm not going to hold you captive here to my bullshit psychological cycling. and I'm using you as a prop in my life. And because I know how to get my hooks in you or keep you captive through lies and through putting on some shimmer to keep you around and to keep you away from your actual life path and your actual soulmates and the people who can replenish you and love you and help you up on your feet and learn your lessons. And that's, so keeping somebody in that state it's not love. It's addiction. It's codependency. And they use each other and both of them are driving away each other's soulmates. And so you got to get away from the situation. Even if you feel like there's a soulmate here or potentially there is a soulmate and maybe you can sense that, or maybe you're wrong. And I think you've got to be willing to be wrong. And in doing so, I feel like there's a sacrificing energy of I got to sacrifice this, and to sacrifice is to make sacred, and you're making yourself sacred in this process. And there's maybe a loss of ego here. And that's like the shame. The loss of ego is the loss of the hot potato. It was kind of false to begin with, of like, well, I'm chosen, or I'm supposed to go on the path with this person, right? And because I'm this way and they're that way and we're this together, all that's like very ego kind of language. So putting that down, it's like you can't be obsessed with it for it to come in, even if it is, this is what's healing, this is what's going to feel good. I know that, you have to, it's like, it can't come to you this way. There's too much pain in it. There's too much trauma in it. There's too much harm in it. So it's like, in a way, you've got to move on. And it could be that the soulmates are actually like motivating factors for each other, where it's like, shit, that is my soulmate. Like that, I can't be dicking off with you. You're holding me back. Like, again, the truth of the situation, it feels like, can be exposed when people start moving away from it, actually. And that might be a paradox. And if you've listened to my channel, I love a good paradox point, because it just seems like it shouldn't work out, but then it does work out, And you can only know that by like the experience of like the freedom. Nobody has to tell you, nobody has to propagandize like, well, it doesn't seem like it should work out, but then it actually does. If somebody's trying to convince you that up is down, that's not a paradox point. That's just somebody lying and being deceitful, but like when you come across these paradox points, naturally, it's like discovering some kind of like natural formation that is an eighth wonder of the world kind of a thing. You're like, whoa. And it feels like you've touched divinity, and that you've expanded kind of beyond our 3D reality for just a moment in time. And you can see the wholeness of everything. It's like an enlightenment kind of experience. That's what I'm talking about. But I think all of this is like via goodbye, and it's saying goodbye to like some type of bad credit, like karmically. And it could be that money is an issue here, or like unemployment or something. And it's because it's the natural manifestation of having been involved in this cycle for a while, is lack, is depletion. And so again, it might be showing up in your 3D reality as that, but saying goodbye to this like kind of hot potato energy. And again, saying goodbye to the belief that the answer to these feelings of lack and low self-esteem is to be chosen by true love's kiss, or this hot potato, when somebody's energy and attention is on you, but it won't be again, because somebody here is stuck in a cycle, in a pattern. They don't know how to meet their own needs internally. And they're desperate for attention is what I'm getting. So it could be that somebody here is just desperate for attention. And so it's not even what you're like, oh yeah, this is a relationship, but this person they can't even access, even if this is a soulmate connection between the two of you, they can't even access the fruits of that, because it's like a hungry ghost. They're in a desert, traveling around for attention. They have to have it. They're a fiend. And you can't have a relationship like with that kind of energy. And so I think that even though it's hard, that somebody here has had to say goodbye. And I think that'll break the spell, and it'll break this like holding pattern. And then people will start to realize the truth about themselves and the other people that are involved here. And that truth will kind of start to flesh itself out. And the shame will start to rise to the surface for everybody too, of like, I can't believe I involved in this, or I can't believe that I was a part of this for as long as I was, or I can't believe that I was thinking that this person was like the answer, and that them choosing me was like God choosing me or something. But it's just because it naturally felt so good, something about it, because you put this person on a pedestal, or so it's like, well, if this person's paying attention to me, then I must be worthy. But really, this is about some kind of internal balance, some kind of internal justice for yourself. Because it feels like even if you are soulmates with somebody here, you can't be soulmates and like reap the fruit of that connection when there's no justice internally for you. And it feels like unless you walk away, there's no justice internally. Like it feels like you've got to give yourself justice by saying, I don't deserve this. I deserve fairness. There's no fairness here. This isn't like, the way in which this relationship is playing out in the 3D, it's not playing out like a soulmate relationship. It's not playing out fair. It's not, because they're involving with somebody else. And I think there's a lot of deceit here because it's behind your back. But for somebody to pull off a connection behind somebody else's back, there's a lot of lying to both parties. There has to be, because if everything was just straight up truthful, it would all be out. It would naturally be out in the light of day, and it's not. So it's not just one lie. It's a lot of lies that are being told here to both parties here, and maybe even to self, of why somebody does this. And I think it's an addiction to attention. And I think they feel like they need that. And it's because they have low self-esteem. And they have low self-esteem because they have an internalized sense of shame. And they have an internalized sense of shame. And, and they got to keep pulling the onion layer back and back and back and back. And that's where like therapy could be really helpful. Journaling, self-exploration, shadow work. But it's hard to focus on the shadow work because when you're in this kind of a dynamic with somebody, it's very entangling. It takes a lot of like the attention. And Spirit just said this is why something that, like tarot and the way that we all do tarot here can be so powerful, because it can get right in there with you, but it can bring this healing energy. It can bring the truth, and it can help you process the truth while interacting like here, and be the thing that breaks you free, and be the thing that also can be the bridge to leading you to something truly special is what I'm hearing. But I think that's you, like leading you back home to yourself. This is very Hecate, like with the lamp that just goes right into the center of it, because this situation is the center of your shadow. I'm supposed to tell you this. For those of you that demonize tarot and you say, oh, well, this is me feeding my addiction, only if you go to the wrong, like if you use it, tarot is a tool. So if you use it incorrectly, like yourself, or if you go to people that want to prop up the fantasy and don't want to like get in here and help you really actually sort things out. And I'm not saying like any reader that tells you that something is a good situation is feeding a fantasy. That's not what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying? Like people who they don't really push too far. They don't really poke, they really kind of leave it at feelings. That's kind of what I mean. Because you can have all the feelings you want. Feelings is what this is feeding off of. Because feelings are actually the superficial energy here. You got where do your feelings come from? And feelings are not facts. They're data points, but that's maybe some of you want to parse that out for yourself. Feelings are not facts, but they are data points. Because somebody here is good at milking a feeling in somebody of you're chosen and I love you, when actually they're good at inducing feelings. Somebody here is good at inducing feelings via putting on a show. And maybe they learned that in their childhood, and that was probably because they were genuinely victimized, and it was probably because they never felt like they were good enough to just be themselves, and when they were just themselves, they didn't get attention, or they didn't get the right kind of attention, or they always felt second best. But again, that person has to unravel that for themselves and learn how to be a different way. That's like still on them to do. But all of this has to do with shame. I'm seeing like at the, the Scooby-Doo, like at the end when they kind of unmask the villain, it's like you think this is love, but then you unmask it and you realize it's passion. And then you think that this is passion, but then you unmask it and really it's about attention. It's about give me attention and give me nurturance. And I want to be able to like kind of go back and forth, and I can't just rely on one person, because one person would get bored. And this person knows when they get bored, which everybody naturally will. Mastering boredom is really the key to mastering a lot of things. Mastering boredom is the key to success in a lot of arenas. So this person may have that inability to be bored may have played out in terms of their success in other arenas, not just romance. And so, but it's kind of like unpacking. Because eventually I feel like it's shame. It's like inner shame. And that shame is kind of running the show. So they'll get attracted to people because they feel low. This is also shadow, right? Because shadow can rule over attraction, but also it's like it can make you feel repulsed. So I think this person, because they feel ashamed about like just being themselves, their mind, this is what I'm saying, everything's deeply psychological. They're really attracted to people that they feel like fills in their gaps. But I think there could be something really weird going on with this person where it's like, okay, they don't feel good enough. So maybe they're really attracted to people that bring in a big sum because they can't be bored, so they can't build their own success, and they're constantly sabotaging things. So they get really, really attracted to people who have money. But if it's people who are the same sex as them that have a lot of money, well, they're repulsed by those people. They hate those people. But the people who are the opposite gender, oh, well, they're really attracted to those people. But it's Pluto either way that's active. And again, Especially if you're a person who's built your own wealth or you built your own success and you meet a person like this, you might feel really seen because this person will notice like the details and stuff and they'll praise you. And it might feel so nice to meet somebody that's not intimidated by your success. But all of this is coming from their shadow space because they wish that they were you. And Pluto tries to end, like destroy whatever it sits next to. So this person may end up trying to destroy your success. At first, they're like really enamored by it because they want to be you and they can't be you. So they'll just want to mooch off of you and benefit from that. And that's their way, that their codependent way of like meeting their needs instead of integrating themselves fully from the inside. You see, there's no justice on the inside for this person. And so they'll never bring justice or fairness into your world because they don't exist in that fair state. They're that fair or balanced state. It's like a hungry ghost. So anyways, I think I've talked for long enough, but that's what I have. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye guys.